I can't stop going down the rabbit hole of how bad it is for teachers and how bad kids are in school, because it's just shocking and it's scary knowing that if you're a parent or you know somebody who's a parent, that is what the child is about to step into in school, or what that child is experiencing, and how vastly different it is from our experience growing up, and that is the future generation who's going to take care of us, who's going to go into the job market. It is scary and pathetic and so disappointing, and we should want more. And I want to share this information because I don't think a lot of people really understand how bad it is on the behavior side of things and on the learning side of things. So let's take a look at what some of these teachers have to say. Shout out to Teacher Therapy for putting this together and sharing her 2 cents as well.
By some of these 6 and 7 year olds, that they don't listen. Their academic abilities are so much lower than I've seen in my previous teaching years. They're helpless. You ask a question, they're just staring at you. They still can't form their letters. Like, they can't manage their emotions. They're throwing tantrums left, right, and center. They hide under tables. They storm out. They don't listen to instructions. Tell them something and they just mock you and repeat after you what you've just said. They don't be quiet. It is stressful.
It always makes me sad to hear how much Gen Alpha is struggling. But the good news is some people are finally finding solutions. The best example is Mississippi, and they are doing something so amazing that it's been called the Mississippi Miracle.
Yeah, so I did a video not too long ago about phonics and how they removed phonics from the schools, and now kids can't read, just like several other things they've removed from schools and tried to implement new processes. And it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I don't understand why they removed it to begin with. So she's going to bring up Mississippi, who has made a complete 180 as far as their scores are concerned and reading levels are concerned, because ding, 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 they brought phonics back. Hooked on phonics, anybody? It works.
Cool. And who knew? You just need 2 ingredients. Number 1, they brought back phonics. Kids are learning how to decode words instead of looking at pictures and randomly guessing. And here's the important part. They cannot move beyond 3rd grade if they have not mastered the basics of reading. And this is
so important. So for those of you who don't know, in replacement of phonics, they were showing students pictures and then asking what it was a picture of. So just a game of Pictionary. Think about the thousands and thousands and thousands of words that you can't necessarily just show. It's not like rabbit, banana, water, like that. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So thankfully, we've got phonics back, and seeing those scores are amazing. And you finally have a school system putting in a hard stop of, no, you cannot pass go. You cannot pass to 4th grade if X, Y, and Z. There are so many schools that just pass these students right along, even if the student is failing. Like, passing is 60%. That's failing. That's not that. Make it make sense. How can you prove that they've actually learned anything and they deserve to go to the next grade? So let's hear what she has to say.
Increases accountability for everybody. And it's working. In 2013, they were ranked 49th out of 50 because of their reading scores. And now Mississippi is in the top 10. So the results are miraculous. And as much as I would love to end this video on a happy note, unfortunately, things are not going as well for Gen Z. Many Gen Z students can read. They're simply choosing not not to. They're feeling demoralized about the future, and the temptation to use AI is out of control. Let's hear from one college professor and two high school teachers.
Many students just don't read. They can read, but they don't. They don't read books. They don't read articles. They don't read the newspaper. Nothing to improve themselves, nothing for enjoyment. They just don't read. I remember one student in particular, he was having a great deal of trouble in my class. I think he was getting a D. The writing was really bad on the tests and on the papers. So I called him in for a meeting and I said, look, let's try to figure this out. It's not a mystery. If you want to improve your writing, the best way to do that is just start reading. The more you read, the better examples you have and the better writer you will be. I said, what's the last book you read? And he said, I haven't. He had never read a book.
Students are not reading anymore. They're not reading on their own. They're not reading for class assignments. I stopped giving independent reading because students were just not doing it and were happy to take the 0 or the F or the D in order to not read the book. So they were actively trying not to read anything. I started reading to them, which definitely did help. But when you're not reading, you're also not expanding your vocabulary, and the way that you communicate also narrows as well. And another factor that I started to notice, especially around like 2022, was a lot of students just don't care. And that's heartbreaking. It really, really is, because they don't care that their grades are low. They don't care that they're not reading. And when I had honest conversations with some of my students, I got the constant refrain that nothing is going to work for them anyway. They're never going to be able to get ahead. They're never going to be able to own a home. They're never going to be able to raise a family like their parents and grandparents did. So why even try? And of course, I did all my usual pep talks, and I try to encourage them in tangible ways. But when they have that feeling in high school, and when education isn't valued or pushed at home, that's a deadly combination for a kid to say, why am I going to read this? Who cares if I know how to write a paragraph, a sentence, because I'm never going to need it.
I'm going to start with saying,
that is just so heartbreaking to me. But like she's saying, it starts at home. It starts at home. I mean, I've been reading to my 9-month-old son since, I don't know, probably two and a half. Some days are more of a struggle than others. A lot of, he's a baby, right? So a lot of them are touch and feel books, sensory books. Some of them we only get through a few pages. Sometimes we get through several books, but you got to start them while they're young. You got to, just like with a lot of things with kids, you have to influence them and show them while they're young, so it becomes normal for them, so they reach for it, they want it. You have to exercise their learning capabilities. And like these individuals are saying, these teachers are saying, the way you communicate narrows, your vocabulary isn't expanded, depending on what types of books you're reading, your problem solving, your critical thinking, your imagination is just not being utilized at all. Just this constantly. And think about reading a real page turner, right? Or a real big, thick book where you just get lost in it. Hours go by and you're turning page after page after page to find out what happens next. And there's so much description available for what people look like and what's happening and everything. Like that exercises so many different parts of your brain that this does not. This is dopamine hit. I want what I want it now. Next, short. I mean, kids aren't even getting through watching an entire reel or entire TikTok anymore. Their attention span is for like 3 seconds. For like 3 seconds. It's pathetic. It's just so sad. I mean, for me personally, it breaks my heart a little bit more than maybe somebody else because I grew up loving to read, and I was quite the writer. I was in advanced programs for writing. I took extra special classes for writing. I've written books. I loved to write. That's my favorite form of communication. And I think a lot of that stems from being introduced to reading and having so many books around all the time and always being read to. And I know it can be different for boys and girls growing up at different ages, but parents are just shoving iPads in front of their kids' faces. And I tend to be a bit of a curmudgeon when it comes to technology. I'm not saying everybody has to be that way. Yes, we can embrace modern times and new things, but don't let it take up your entire world, let alone your kids. Still give them what's tried and true. And a lot of people aren't like that anymore. Like a lot of parents have the same view. Hey, you're not going to need to read anymore anyways. It doesn't matter. So you want your children to be completely thoughtless and uneducated and reliant on technology that has been proven to lie, tell false answers, put individuals in a hypnotic state. That's what you want for your children? Let's see what this teacher has to say.
That teachers are not afraid of AI because we hate technology. We are scared because we are watching critical thinking disappear in real time. AI is everywhere. We cannot pretend like it doesn't exist, and we can't put the genie back in the bottle. So we're trying to lean into it. We are trying to teach kids how to use AI ethically, but that is so much easier said than done. The problem is that the lines are so blurred. A lot of students genuinely do not know where help ends and replacement begins. And when we give them an inch, they take a mile. Not because they're bad kids, because they're kids. And the temptation is enormous. And I sometimes find myself asking, am I just that angry old man, shaking my fist angrily at the sky? Because when I was in high school, my math teachers would say, you got to know how to do this because you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. Well, guess what? I have a calculator in my pocket at all times. But what I realize is that it's not a fair comparison because calculators replace computation after we learned how math worked. AI shows up before students ever learn how to think through a problem. And the part that keeps teachers up at night, at least sane teachers, is not cheating. We're not out to be gotcha, how many kids can I catch to ruin their lives? What we are witnessing is that students are now incapable in sitting in any kind of intellectual discomfort. And that's concerning. A confusing sentence, a bad first draft. We could give them a fun writing prompt and they'll turn to AI for it because it's too much work. Wow. It's too much intellectual legwork. Learning is supposed to be uncomfortable. The struggle is where confidence and independence and actual understanding comes from. AI is not inherently bad, but when it becomes the first step instead of last support, that is when we lose something incredibly important. And what really scares me is not AI in the classroom. It's the idea of raising a generation that never learned how to think through uncertainty. Innovation does not come from instant answers. It comes from people who sit with tough questions. If we lose that, we don't just lose academic skills, we lose future problem solvers. So what does that mean for us as a society when innovation stops? Because we now lack the workforce of critical thinkers. We are not just talking about grades and cheating. We are talking about who is going to innovate, who is going to create, who is going to solve these really difficult societal problems when the answer is not obvious, who is going to do the work that actually moves society forward if no one learned how to think without a shortcut. This is so much bigger than what's going on in school. If students never learn how to struggle through ideas, how to think critically, how to trust their own minds, then who becomes the innovators? Who builds the next breakthroughs? Who solves the problems that we have not even named yet? And that's why this conversation matters. And that's the part that really should make us all feel a little bit more existential. We as teachers, we are not afraid of technology, but we are very afraid of what happens when critical thinking becomes optional.
It's clear.
She is spot on. So have we innovated ourselves out of innovation, out of innovators? Haha. She's spot on though. And that's why technology internet, social media, AI, all of it, you name it, shouldn't be introduced until a certain age. Children need to learn and develop these skills before they're handed something that does it for them. Parents don't think about that. Parents don't know how to think about that. Parents have gotten lazy. We have gotten lazy. And if you're a conspiracy theorist like myself, you understand why all of this is happening. They want us fat, sick, nearly dead. They want us dumber and dumber and dumber. So we chipped away at the parents enough. Now we're starting even younger. Because the parents are bought into the system, we're starting even younger with the kids. The kids are just limp noodle mashed potatoes. We have weakened society so much now to the point that these kids don't know how to think, they don't know how to read, and they don't care. That's the scary part. They don't care. I mean, I'm sure some of them do, right? But a large part of them, they don't care. They've already been raised from day one on their chicken nuggets, their mac and cheese, and their PlayStation, and their iPad, and their Snapchat, and their whatever terrible cartoons, or I mean, they're not even animated. Sorry, they're not even cartoons. They're animated shows that they're watching. They started from day one, so they don't even care, which is so scary and sad and heartbreaking, because what is one of the things that is ingrained in children is they love to learn. They're so curious. Again, I only have a 9-month-old, right? But I'm around kids from other ages. And in particular, though, with my baby, just he's been curious from day one, but just watching that curious and that hunger to learn and exercise new skills and grow is huge. It's huge. It's so amazing to watch. So if we're getting to the point where we're taking that natural desire out of our kids, I mean, what's the point? What's the point of us being here? We just have AI and robots take over and do everything. And we'll just all sit on our couches and watch our TV and, I don't know, be like the living dead. So let's see what the rest of teacher therapy have to say.
That Gen Z is facing some serious battles, and watching those clips made me wonder a few things. And it hurts my heart to even verbalize this, but I started to wonder, are we moving into a post-literate culture? I was thinking about past civilizations that mainly maintained oral traditions, and they had a language, they just didn't write it down. Because when you think about it, there are so many tools now for people that struggle to read. Of course, there's audiobooks, there's text-to-speech features, obviously there's AI, and really anytime you don't want to read something, you kind of don't have to. So I'm wondering if most people will simply stop reading. And that's still a terrifying thought to me. Another thought that I had is maybe a certain subset of the population will continue to read and write and have a more classical education. And this might be the wealthy people. Maybe those parents will insist that their child go to a tech-free school, or maybe they'll have the resources to homeschool and teach their kids themselves. And I just wonder what that will look like. How big will the class divide become if you've got a certain segment of the population that can read and write and communicate and think and innovate, and then you have another segment of the population that can probably understand language, but maybe they won't be the ones creating things. And educators, parents, society will continue to have to grapple with, how do you motivate people to value learning when information is so free, fast, and easy to obtain? Just food for...
Yeah, so this will inevitably become a class thing. And we already see stuff like this already with, was it Steve Jobs, who was quoted saying he wouldn't let his kids touch his technology. There's been a couple of big players out there who have said similar sentiments, or we see it with the fast food company owners who won't eat their fast food. And a lot of the wealthy do have tech-free households or no technology for their kids, and send their kids to Waldorf schools and hold on to classical traditions and classical learnings that their children must learn because they care. They care about being the best of the best. They want their family to be the best of the best. And all you meek little dumb slaves can piddle around down here with your iPads and your iPhones and your social media and whatever new gadget we send out for you that you can hardly afford, but you're going to buy it anyways because you can't be left behind, right? Technology isn't always a good thing, or at least the way that we're taught to use it. And that's something to think about. So I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What do you think about this hot mess that's going on with our kids? I mean, it's starting from before they even enter school until college age. It's across the board. What do you think about all of this, in particular when it comes to reading? Do you think it's a skill that it's fine if we don't exercise it anymore because we're not going to need it anyways? Or do you think it's important to hold on to that? Let me know in the comments below. If you're new to me, hit the subscribe button. I would love to see you on my way to 100 subscribers, and then 1,000 and 10,000 and so on. I have big dreams of growing this channel because I am like many of you. I am an American wife, mom, and individual who does not like the sad state of our society. And I want to get that message out there. I want people to be informed of what's actually going on in our country. Like I said earlier, a lot of people don't know how bad these schools are anymore. And I think jaw to the floor if they truly found out. It's hard to believe. So help me get there. Hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.